Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to talk about that this week everything has changed for Palantir, and I'm going to show you how this changes the thesis and what this means for you as an investor. If you like this content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button that is down there, and if you want to support the channel and get access to all of our valuations and tables that we use here, check out the first link in the description box for our Patreon, where you can support the channel for $5 a month. So let's begin. So why am I saying that everything has changed? This has happened on the 2nd of July. Basically, first, Mikhailo Fedorov tweeted that he has had a meeting with Palantir and he's in Kiev, and he is the first Western CEO to visit Ukraine since the invasion. And I don't know if he was supposed to tweet this out because, I immediately noticed it on Palantir forums and on another Palantir YouTube channel. And then some hours after, Palantir has also tweeted this out. And this has very big and far-reaching ramifications, and I'm going to go over these. So why is this important? So Palantir has had a very nebulous Q1 report where they showed slowing growth in government, not giving details about the future, and they even forecasted a accelerated shrinking of their margin, which basically led their stock to crumble. Obviously, very many investors weren't happy with how they presented their things and that they weren't giving details. So this is one slide of their presentation where they are stating that the government has a compounded annual growth rate of 30% on all these years. However, it has only grown 16%. And remember, Kathy Woods from ARK Invest dumped all her Palantir shares because she felt the government sector was not growing, and they are not giving any insights into what's going to happen with this growth. They are just saying that, we've always had a 30% growth rate. Then they have had an adjusted operating income of 117 million, which was a fall from, I believe, 29%. And it basically was the same year over year. And that was not looking good for a growth company. Then here is the next one. They were guiding for a 470 million Q2 revenue, which was just slightly higher than their Q1 revenue. And then this was the really bad part, that they were saying that they expect a 20% operating margin in Q2. No explanation given why that is. And here is a contradiction. Then they said, but for the full year, we expect a 27% gross margin. So the only way that this can happen is that they have a 36% adjusted operating margin in Q3 and Q4, and they gave us no indication of where that would come from. So there has been a lot of talk in the company, and I think this was really annoying investors. I'm going to show you what I mean here. Here's a video from Alex Karp.
Palantir, we are playing a critical, crucial, and much bigger role than we're allowed to mention or whatever discuss in public in current events. Obviously commercially, because our partners and other future partners are being disrupted, their supply chains are disrupted, there's a threat of a disruption in the broader economy, and many realize that the reality of a truly monumental, epic and horrific disruption in the form of a nuclear attack is much higher than is being reported. But also in the government context, where we are playing an outsized role, and we're very proud of that, and we're proud of the people we're able to support, and we're also eager to continue to help to support them.
So he's saying we are playing a much larger part than we're allowed to mention, and one day we would like to disclose what it is. And he talks about both the government and the company sector, but even later, I just don't want to show you a lot of videos. I don't want to make this video 20 minutes long, but even later in the presentation, analysts specifically asked them to tell them, like, what is it exactly? Are they helping Ukraine? What is it that they're going to do? And they just basically refuse to answer the questions. I actually made a video about it. You can search the channel. It's one of the most watched videos, how Palantir is misleading investors. And I believe it's partially because, they are not allowed to talk about what is going on. I had my suspicions that it's because they're very much aiding Ukraine in the war, and all these news that we heard of, how the Russian invasion slowed down and the Russians are having a very hard time, and, all their supply tanks are somehow being blown up, and, their whole army is running out of fuel, and, they basically stalled. Even though Russia has a 10x bigger army than Ukraine. So on paper, it should have been like a 2-day war. And somehow the Ukrainians got some magic help and power, and they're able to, you know, somehow keep the Russians back. And it was very, very suspicious to me. And I was suspecting that it might have to do something with Palantir. And I completely understand why they cannot disclose it or couldn't.
Company that is both bull and bear and comes into full stride in both environments, but in absolutely anomalous stride when times are rough and people are hiding. Palantir's products are on the absolute front line, and you see them in the news every day. And we would love someday to discuss exactly what we're doing, but we are playing a good role in your support, and buying into the world as it is enormously important to us.
We see them in the news every day, apparently, guys. So this is where I got my suspicion very high up that it has to do something with Ukraine, but they were not allowed to disclose it. So obviously they have been talking a lot about, you know, they're a company that is doing good in bad times. And we see that now this is, you know, bad times, inflation is going up. How come their margins are going lower? There is this, you know, geopolitical event in Ukraine. And why don't you see this in the numbers? Why don't we get any guidance in this? Then they mentioned in the earnings call that when they were guiding, they said they have a potential upside. When analysts asked them, they said that they have a lot of work on the fly that they hope that they will get paid for, but they don't know. And, you know, they decided to risk the company's balance sheet, and because they thought that it was super important for the future. I was suspecting that it's something in Ukraine. And obviously, when they act this way, the investors are left with a lot of questions. I totally understand why the stock price went down after this for people who don't fully understand Palantir. Because, you know, why are the margins falling when they're supposed to be doing good in bad times? How can the gross margin go back to 27% when you're guiding for an even lower? And why is the government revenue slowing? And then this happened. And suddenly everything made sense, and Daddy Carp is taking care of business. It's so funny how on so many videos he said we're bad at sales, and you have to know that Palantir had no salespeople up until I think 2 years ago. And Alex Karp, he himself was the only salesperson who got the company up to 600 million, something like that, a year in revenue. And he keeps saying in every videos that they're very bad at selling. They're, you know, they're good on product development. And it just makes me laugh, because if I could hire a salesperson who's bad at selling and takes my company to 600 million per year revenue, I would hire that bad salesperson any day. He was the one who made all the government contract, all the big contract. And he is also, Daddy Carp, the one who goes to Ukraine and I'm pretty sure closes this big deal. So Europe has been super weak for Palantir because, you know, they were considered the private CIA and people didn't want to work with them because it was considered controversial. This was both on the commercial and in the government side. But with the Ukraine war, they just proved themselves out. They just literally everybody sees their value, even not just Europe, even other governments are seeing their value. And this just totally handled Europe's sales of Palantir. Why is this so important? Because I just wanted to show you this chart. This is from their financial 2021 financial year cohort analysis. And look at this. It's the same on the, or very similar on the commercial side. So look at this. The 2018 customers spent in 2018, government customers, $31 million. The same group of customers the year after spent $61 million. And the same group of customers a year later, that's a double. Then they spent $199 million. That is a more than a triple. And then they spent $282 million, which is a 40% increase. Then the 2019 group spent only $2 million. However, a year later, the group that spent $2 million is now spending $18 million, a 9-fold increase. And then from $18 million to 43, which is a more than 2xing. Then in 2020, the new government customers spent $77 million. And the year after, they spent $227 million. So guess what's going to happen? This is why I'm so excited about this, because guess what's going to happen if Palantir gets a bunch of new European government customers? You guessed it right. The same thing. The net retention, baby, is off the charts for this company, and they're going to secure business, very sticky income for the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ahead. And this is fantastic for this company. So Carp is taking care of business. The stock price of Palantir has fallen a lot, and this has, caused a lot of pain for a lot of people. Basically, almost all the investors are in the red of Palantir. However, this company is so interesting in this environment. They're very unique because this macro environment, the inflation, the geopolitics, everything that is going on is a tailwind for them. However, it's causing the stock price to drop. They're executing super well on their plans. And with the recent developments, I have never been more confident in the long-term future of Palantir. And basically, I treat every dip in the stock price as a buying opportunity. I have a model for Palantir. The price where it's currently at is very, very attractive from a risk reward for me. And my confidence just keeps going up on this stock. And this, when I saw this picture, it for me changed everything, because it went from, I believe that my confidence went from, it was pretty high already. So let's say from 85% to 99%. And it's really, really a unique chance for me in the stock market. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching the video until now, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.